Everybody, welcome back to AEG's podcast. I have my dear friend Dagmar with 10 Peaks here, and we're going to learn all about the good work that she and her team have been doing. Dagmar, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Tell us what your focus, mission, and objectives of 10 Peaks Innovation Alliance is.
Yeah, well, at 10 Peaks, our mission statement is to engage, inspire, and educate Alberta's youth on all things technology, innovation, AI, inclusivity as it relates to energy, our environment, and climate, and then the many opportunities involved in careers and jobs, so that they can see themselves and their future here in Alberta.
Oh, that's awesome. Very good, Dagmar. I'm so glad you did it. And what was your inspiration to create it?
Oh, well, so here's my story. So my son, who is now graduated, he graduated last June, but in April 2019, he's in grade 9 and he comes home and he goes, "Mom, we are the worst in the world." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Our oil sands, we are the worst in the world." I said, "Okay, I know our emissions haven't always been the greatest, but do you know that they've come down, 20 or 30%, depending on what company you're talking about?" And he's like, "Nope, Mom, I don't know anything about that." I said, "Carbon capture, it's a really big deal in the world, and it's a really big deal for Alberta and then Canada. So do you know anything about carbon capture?" He's, "No, Mom, I don't know anything about that." I said, "Okay, Aiden, you play hockey. Like, we live in Red Deer." And at that time, he was playing double A in Lacombe. So we were spending a lot of time in the rink there. And I said, literally 15 minutes down the road from the rink is the injection site for the Alberta Carbon Trunk Line. I'm like, "Do you know anything about that?" And he goes, "No, Mom, but our teacher says that our textbooks are at least 5 years out of date." So I said, "Okay." I said, "I think, I know our teachers are doing an amazing job, and I think they are doing an amazing job, but I cannot expect them to be on top of and be experts in all the technology and all the innovation that occurs in our industry." So here at Fusion Production, I'm the CFO, and we build pressure vessels, storage tanks, pipe, all that kind of good stuff. And our technology changes every year. So I said, "What can I do?" So I said, "All right, I'm going to send out an email to all his teachers and the principal of his middle school and say, who wants to get an email from Dagmar once a month? I'm willing to share documents I find, videos I find, articles I find." And so I started to do that. And I had 2 teachers come back. So they were in math, social, and science. The one taught the 2 subjects. And so I started out with 2. And then when he went into high school, I added his high school teachers. I started sharing every month. And then I thought, well, what else can I do? And I thought, well, I can hold a conference. Like, we can go to Rexall, we can go to the Saddle Dome, we can have 20,000 kids all hear about people in industry, because I'm in industry and that's where it all started. And from there, I had a team, but got a team together and COVID came and all my plans went out the door. But instead, we pivoted to an online platform. And in October 2021, we held our first conference. And it was amazing. We had fantastic engagement from academia, from industry, non-for-profits, government organizations, Indigenous leaders. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. So we have your son as well to thank. This is good news. That's awesome.
Yes, he was in our kitchen.
I love it. That's so nice. Good story. Thank you. What events and activities do you hold?
So our main offering, we kick off the year with our student conference. It's held annually in October. We held one in 2022. It was in Lacombe. We also then pivoted to being in person, but also still virtual. It is free to all students. We talk about all things energy transition. So our conference for this year will be in October 12th, and it's going to be held here in Red Deer at the Red Deer Polytechnic. So it's a one-day conference. We record all our sessions so that teachers and students can then not only be inspired by the speakers and all the information that they receive there in person, but they can also then watch it over, because we take all the sessions and put them up on our learning library on our website. The education then continues after the conference. So post-conference, we also offer a case competition where we have teachers sign up, their students, they have various projects. We offer 4 suggestions. One of them is a mud watt project, which I'm happy to say we've got a few hundred kids participating in our case competition this year with 4 schools. We offer a micro grant of $100 for their projects so that they can learn more about energy and sustainability and things that they can do right now while they're in school to, work on climate action. And then after that, we also are working on holding Innovation of the Month webinars for teachers. So we're trying to get our first one lined up here in April. And then for the summertime, we end the year with a couple of entrepreneurship camps. I am in the midst of getting talks with Alberta Innovates for a grant to hold a entrepreneurship and robotics summer camp for students here in Red Deer, and another one at the Strathcona Tweedsmuir School down in Calgary.
Well, I want to come. I love robotics. That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, we're very excited. The theme of that one is to have 3 days of robotics where we have an award-winning teacher, Steve Schultz, from Lacombe. He also runs his own robotics club. He has agreed to come in and teach grade 7 to grade 9ers 3 days of robotics workshop, see how they all work. They do some programming. And then the entrepreneurship side of things, we have partnered with the Hunter Center in the University of Calgary, and they're going to put on a 2-day entrepreneurship camp. And so it ends with a Dragon-esque type of pitch. We're hoping to do that for the Calgary group at Calgary Platform or at Platform Calgary. So yeah, we got a few plans in the works.
I love it. That's excellent news. And why do you think this work is so important?
Well, like technology and innovation, we know transitions really, really fast. And we can't expect teachers to stay on top of it, then to write lessons plan on it, then to be experts on it in order to teach it. So I think if we can help our teachers out so that we can engage our students with that curiosity and hook them in and talk about what we are doing here in Alberta, all the great work by all those other parties involved, I think it's a win-win for everyone. The students don't know what they don't know. And it is just so amazing to, inspire them and engage them. And like the strength of our program is that we offer a third of the speakers are from traditional oil and gas with net zero goals. A third of the speakers are alternative energy speakers, and a third of the speakers are climate and environment speakers. So we talk about all things sustainable and sustainability, and we talk about recycling and industrial recycling, like what are we doing about our plastic situation. It's important to have a balanced conversation around all of these topics and how that works in our, the current environment today and what, our energy transition is all about.
Wow, very good. I love it. I think we should have a channel that says how things are made. That's awesome.
Someone has to get on that.
Yeah. Thanks, Dagmar. That's great. How about the partners, or do you partner with other organizations?
So in our first year, we partnered with the Alberta Emerald Foundation. They were fantastic. We had a 1-year partnership there. They also offer microgrants. So we wanted to get the word out to teachers and students who have a sustainability project that they would offer up to $750. So we were trying to share their good news, and they're good news storytellers. And they were kind of inspired by what we were doing and saw the need to also share that information. So in our first year, we had partnership with Alberta Emerald Foundation. Now we have our partnership with the University of Calgary with the Hunter Center for the entrepreneurship camp for that workshop. So that's fantastic. Houston Peschel is a big supporter of ours, and Leo Bertolin of that group there. And so I am very lucky to have them. And we are working on developing this camp together. And so other partnerships that we are looking for, I guess that's one of the reasons why we're talking here, is to let people know who would like to partner with us. So, people that are in organizations that are passionate about education and that want to have balanced conversations so that we can inspire our students about all that technology and innovation that we have in industry. So we are a non-for-profit. Being financially stable is also very important. It is quite a bit different from, the profit world that I live in here at Fusion. And so, yeah, we are looking for partners to provide some of that financial stability. Our programs, we always write grants and so forth, and we have sponsorship with our with exhibit booths that are available, keynote sponsorships and so forth. But we'd like to have a little bit of financial stability throughout the year too. So if anyone is interested in partnering with us, we have a few benefits that we can offer you.
That's awesome, and great exposure too. That's wonderful. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dagmar. Excellent.
Yeah.
How about the reaction of the high school students or teachers? What are some of the comments coming back or thoughts?
Oh, you know what? We have, it really makes a difference, and it's so inspiring to me when you see the students that are listening to speakers, and then at the end of their session, their arms go up and they ask a million questions. It is so, the reaction from them is, our speakers are, engaging them, and they have opportunity there to ask, any question that they want. And some of the questions that they ask are like very deep, thoughtful, and important questions. And I think, at the end of the day, when you see the momentum building and they realize, that there is opportunity and that, their future, the future is bright. Like the opportunity that we have now is so massive. So we asked some of our students then, we asked them to fill out a survey. And one of the questions that we had there was, okay, what did you know about, climate change? And what did you know about the Alberta organizations? What are they doing about it? And most people said, oh, out of 1 to 5, 5 being, that they know that there's a lot going on, and 1 knowing that there's nothing. They mostly said, 2 or 3 is where they said. And then we asked after the conference, what was your knowledge? Like, what do you think now? Like, what do you think the Alberta organizations and people are doing now? And their answers are then 4 and 5. So that is really inspiring to me. So I think, between that survey answer and some of the quotes that we then got from students, we asked them what they thought. And, we have some quotes that are on our website. It says, after 10 Peaks, I felt I could see myself a future in green energy. I left 10 Peaks feeling inspired by the action that is being taken now to secure my future in Alberta. And that's really powerful. Those are grade 12 students, and they didn't know what they knew before, but now they do know. And teachers too, they feel that there's a benefit there to, let their students know. So for example, Steve Schultz, he quoted, he's a teacher, a science teacher in Lacombe. The 10 Peaks Conference provides an excellent free opportunity for teachers to expose their students to a balanced perspective on the Alberta energy transition and the innovation surround it. So I think that's great. Like, I think I'm hopeful that there will be more students and more teachers that feel the same way, and that join us in October, either in person or virtually.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Dagmar. I'm curious about reconciliation with our Indigenous friends, and is there an aspect to what you're doing and how?
Yes, we think it is very important to include Indigenous First Nation speakers and leaders in our offering. So our hashtag that we go by here is change the conversation. And we create bridges between organizations and people and students and teachers. And we feel very strongly that a major component and voices that need to be heard are the Indigenous peoples, and the fantastic initiatives that many First Nations are working on today, and how they are then participating in our energy transition. Like, we all hear it in media, and anytime I go to a conference, like I was just at the Hydrogen Summit on Tuesday, and Chief Archon was there, and he spoke of Indigenous people participating, not just at a seat at a table, but an economic benefit and seat at the table, so that there is a long-term future and for their peoples and their First Nations. And we totally agree. So, for example, we had Chief Billy Moran speak to us in our first conference. He, of course, is with the Enoch Cree First Nation, and he spoke all about their involvement with the Edmonton Hydrogen Hub. This past year, we had Aubrey Ann Laliberte Pewaspekonis, and I'm sorry, Audrey, Anne, about mucking up your last name, but she is this amazing person from U of S. She's going into grad studies there, and she is an advisor with Tatenga Inc. and Generation Power, and she went to COP27. Jamie Capo Blank from the Fort Nelson First Nation. They're working on their Tudekad geothermal project, and we had him speak. He is what the project manager. So sometimes I couldn't connect with him right away because he is out in the field working and drilling the geothermal wells that are going to be the basis of their future prosperity. And then, we had Stephen Saddleback also join us last year in our panel where they discussed, how are Indigenous peoples participating in the energy transition. And he is just amazing. He is from the Samson Cree Nation here at Maskwacis. And I think their voices are so important, and I think our students need to hear about it. And here they have an opportunity to hear from them directly and ask them questions. And yeah, we think it's very important.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. I do too. Well done. Thank you. What about some of the barriers that you faced, and how did you face them? What are some of the challenges?
Oh, well, okay. Personally, I get a little burned out every once in a while. I'm still working full time here as a CFO. So, 10 Peaks, I work on my side desk, but, there are times in the year where it gets very busy for me. And so I find I have to balance, take a little bit of mean time and sort of get back in balance, because then I have a tendency to burn myself out. But I love the work that I do. And, I love working here at Fusion. And I also love the 10 Peaks initiative, and the students, they inspire me. So when I need to take a break, I think about, when I was in Lacombe talking, and I ran into some of the grade 12 students there, and, how their minds were blown by Dr. David Lizell talking about hydrogen. And they didn't know before, right? They didn't know about the Edmonton Hydrogen Hub, and now they do. So that's a great thing. So that keeps me going. Some of the other barriers of it was very difficult for us to have to cancel our teachers' conference. We had to make the difficult decision, even though it was the right one. It was a little bit too soon. The pandemic was just starting to come out of, we're coming out of that. And so we had to make the call to cancel that. But we had these amazing speakers lined up, and many of them then were able to speak at our student conference. So it all worked out, but I'm still sad about that. So I'm still going to be working on getting a teachers conference out there, maybe next year or the year after. Just got to sort of see how things are going on. Anyways, we still want to do that. And some of the other barriers, of course, like I said before, we're a startup. So, we run a lean operation. And so we're doing our best on moving forward every day and meeting our objectives.
That's excellent. Yeah, funding and all that startup stuff. I get it. I understand.
Yes, cash flow is king.
Cash flow is king. How about some of the benefits of your work, and who major benefits, I guess, and to whom?
The benefits, of course, is that our students and our youth, they are learning about our energy transition. And for the speakers and the organizations that are there, they get to engage with the youth. I think they have a wonderful opportunity to share the innovation and technology and what they are doing to address climate change. And students then have direct access to those speakers. The sessions are very interactive. There is like a lot of Q&A. And so those real-time questions, when the kids, shoot up their hands and, they ask question after question after question, I think it's really important for them to be heard and to, ask those questions that, is part of their future and what they can then do. And I think it is so important to have that two-way communications. So, and then my hope then is that when the speakers go back into their organizations, they can now have information from students, right? And from their teachers to say, okay, this is where they're at. And this is what they're thinking. Okay, maybe they can incorporate that into their next work. And I think I think that's like the big benefits of that. There's this engagement, and because it's recorded, then everybody can watch those sessions again, including the questions and answers, so that the learning can continue. The other benefit, I think, is eco anxiety for students is a real thing. There are some students that are very, very worried about the state of our environment. And I think they're wondering, what can they do or what is being done? And I think the conference here has an opportunity for them to really do a deep dive and understand then, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, yeah, I asked those questions. Oh, they are on it. Oh, they are doing that. Then, we also have some of our sessions, for example, that are run by students about what they are doing today to be connected to the environment, what they are doing today to, reduce their carbon footprint. And so I think then if you have other students then speaking and sharing, what they are doing in their school, then the other students can be inspired by that too, and perhaps start up and maybe do some of those activities as well in their school. And so then before you know it, students are actually taking action on climate change today when they're in school. They don't have to wait until they're adults. So I think we offer, at least my hope is that we offer hope to students. We are doing a lot for our energy transition and our net zero goals, and reducing emissions. And I hope the kids get that out of it too.
That's awesome, Dagmar. Thank you so much. Curious about how you measure success.
Oh, well, so of course I love being at the conference and seeing all the students engage and having them there and running around from all the different exhibit booths and talking to the exhibitors, to the hand shooting up in the sessions when they're asking the questions of all the speakers. And then I gotta be the bad coordinator and cut everyone off because we're over time. And then, even afterwards, where the students then come up to the speakers and still have side conversations because they are so hooked on that topic and have more questions. I think that's a great measure of success. But I don't want to just leave it to like the actual day of our event. Like, I try to take the success, when, I'm talking to other speakers and some of the great work that they're doing. Like now we're planning for, the next conference in the fall, and it's exciting about some of the stuff that's going on. And so I get hooked on the innovation and technology, and I learn stuff that happens too. So I like the success, like having those measurements, those little wins as we go throughout the year. And I'm really excited that in our case competition, we have one school here in Central Alberta, and they have they said anywhere between possibly 200 and maybe even 400 kids involved in a project, right? And then we have, 3 other schools in Calgary that are working on case competitions as well. And there's, a couple hundred kids involved there. And that's really, that's exciting for me. And I'm excited about that, to see, what's going to happen now in May when we have our case competition and we have the top 5 go in front of a panel and, share what they learned. And that's kind of exciting to me too. So yeah, my measure of success is that if we can offer hope, right, and information and some ideas about some actions that kids can take now, but oh my gosh, share all the innovation and technology that is out there, right, this second. I think that's a major form of a success for me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your good work and to you and your team for your service to Alberta. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dagmar.
Well, thank you so much. I say this to everyone. We are just trying to connect students and youth and build bridges, right? Between industry, between academia, between, anybody. I think our youth all need to hear about the good work that's going on out there and have balanced conversation about it. So that's my hope.
I agree. Thank you so much, Dagmar. Everyone, that was Dagmar with 10 Peaks. Check out the good work. Please support, do whatever we can. We love Alberta. Thanks again for joining on AEG's podcast.